Hey guys, it's Shara from Woodshop Diaries, and today I'm sharing an update on the bathroom remodel project. So in this video, I'm sharing a new project, the shower build, and a continuation of an older project, this vanity, which you may remember seeing the build from a few videos ago. So let's do a quick recap. A couple videos ago, I shared with you how I built the vanity, and in my last video, I shared how I turned the basic boring closet that's over here in the corner into some open storage cubby shelves. But now I'm going to share with you how I built out and transformed our shower, how I installed the vanity, and how I added the top. I'll have a couple more videos to share in this series, including a built-in that I'll be adding on the other side of this wall. So if you want to keep up with all the projects and follow along, be sure to subscribe to the channel. There's a lot to cover in this video though, so if you're ready to get started, let's go.
This video was sponsored by my friends at DAP. I relied heavily on several DAP products to put this space back together after demo, and I'll share more about that later in the video. But to sum it all up, this bathroom would definitely not have been possible without the help of DAP. Alright, first let's dive into this shower situation. Our existing shower was a huge walk-in. It was approximately 4 foot wide by 9 foot deep, and at quick glance, it looks fine. However, the shower was the main reason for remodeling the entire bathroom to begin with, because while things look okay, when you turn the water on, it pulls at the front corner versus running towards the drain. There are also a few cracked and missing tiles, and the galvanized pipe for the shower head had rusted and stained some of the tiles as well. So this, amongst a few other issues, we just decided to rip it out and start over. I took a pry bar, a hammer, and some gloves and just got to work tearing it all out. Now, I know many of you will think that we're crazy for what I did here to rebuild the shower, but we didn't replace the tile shower floor with another tile shower floor. And I have a few reasons for that. A 4x9 tile shower floor is a lot to keep clean. I've had single unit showers, tile shower floors, and acrylic shower bases, and at the end of the day, tile floors are my least favorite option. Personally, while tile shower floors look really nice, I feel like they're always dirty, and there's a lot of maintenance and a lot of potential for cracks and leaks that I'm just constantly paranoid and checking for. Also, I didn't want to take a chance on replacing the shower floor only to end up with the same issue of incorrect sloping and pooling water. I know I'm in the minority here, but I prefer a smaller shower with a solid base just for peace of mind and for less to have to keep clean. So after I tore out the shower walls and the shower floor, I decided to install an acrylic shower pan and retile the walls. Since the shower was already 4 foot wide, I was able to use a 3x4 pan in here with a center drain. However, while the existing drain was centered left to right, it was pretty far from the front, so I had a lot of space to fill between the existing wall and the back edge of the shower pan. So I got creative and framed out this section with a bench seat and a full-length shelf. I basically just built a bench seat to fill the space and allow the back of the pan to run along the front of the bench. Then I installed 2 false walls with space in between them to act as a shelf for the shampoo and soap bottles. You'll notice that in the process of all of this, we moved the shower head so that it came out the side wall versus the back wall. Also, I did have to chisel out the old drain and extend the drain pipe up a little to accommodate the pan, but luckily we didn't have to move the actual drain. Once the drain was prepped and the framing complete, we installed the pan according to the instructions that came with it and made sure that it was properly leveled up. Lucy also joined in on the fun during this part and just basically sat straight in front of the camera. I don't know what she was doing. After the mud bed dried, I came back and installed cement board. Now let me backtrack for just a second. After removing the tile from the wall, as you walk into the shower, I quickly replaced this with drywall. I wasn't going to retile this wall, and it's an exterior wall full of insulation, so I didn't want to leave it exposed for very long. So before I moved on with all of the rest of the shower, directly after demo, I hung the drywall here and taped and mudded it between all the other work that I was doing in this room. But I covered the rest of the shower walls, the bench, and the shelf with cement board. If you've ever worked with cement board before, it's basically like working with drywall, only a million times harder to cut and a lot heavier. After the cement board was up, I installed Schluter-Kerdi membrane for waterproofing. I've used this a few times before and it seems to work really well, but there are other options for waterproofing, so this is just one way to do it. You basically just glue this fabric onto the cement board with thinset. You can find more details on this on the Schluter Systems YouTube channel. Once the waterproofing membrane was dry, I could come back and tile. Now, there's way too much to cover in this video already, so this is not a detailed how to tile a shower video, obviously. I don't love tiling, and I'm definitely not a qualified expert to give out tiling advice. I encourage you to always do your research because there are a million situations and possibilities and options that come with tiling. I'll link the exact tiles that I used in the description below, but these are slate 4x12 tiles that I used for the back wall here in a vertical pattern. I used matching 16x16 tiles for the seat to minimize horizontal grout lines. Now, I found that while these slate tiles are very pretty, they are very inconsistent in sizing and many of the edges were not square. They were not all the same thickness and they were very difficult to keep straight, so laying them was somewhat frustrating and I had to just embrace the fact that imperfections were just going to be part of this project. I used a tile saw to trim the pieces as needed and I kept a level close by to check as I installed each row. Once the back wall was installed, I continued this same tile and same pattern on the floor. I used another Schluter product called Ditra on the floor between the concrete and the tile. And again, Lucy provided her much needed assistance. I wanted to continue the vinyl plank flooring that was already in the rest of the bathroom up to this shower pan, but after tearing out the shower, we found that the shower floor had about a ½ inch step up, so we would need a transition and I just thought it would look kind of weird, so I ended up just extending the tile over this area. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's really just about what you want it to look like in design, and sometimes you just wing it and make do. Once the slate tile was complete, I started on the other two walls, adding 4x12 subway tile. I laid the slate tiles vertically, but I laid the subway tiles horizontally. Again, just for design. I got my first row nice and level, then proceeded to just kind of build on top of it all the way up the walls. Also, yes, I am aware that I'm using these spacers quote unquote incorrectly here. These were 3/16 inch spacers, but they were an 1/8 of an inch thick, and I wanted 1/8 of an inch gaps, so I just flipped them on their sides. This shower was days worth of tiling, and I hated almost every second of it. It was a very repetitive process, so let's just skip ahead a little to some more fun parts. After the tiles were set and dry, I cleaned them up and applied some sealer to the slate before coming back and grouting just to help prevent any possible staining because slate is pretty, absorbent. Words are hard. Grouting is also not a super fun process, but it is the point at which you can kind of start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I cleaned off the grout with a damp sponge about 3 times, and then I came back the next day and kind of cleaned them up again with a dry towel. Grout should go in between all the tiles on the same plane and should fill any outside corners. However, for the inside corners, you typically skip the grout and use a sealant type caulk. In this application, I used DAP's new Advanced Modified Polymer Waterproof Bath and Plumbing Sealant. Now, I'll warn you that if you're used to using latex type caulks like I am, this is a bit more difficult to tool. So to get a nice clean bead, I used some painter's tape to tape off the areas that I was planning to seal. I worked in small sections to give me plenty of time to apply and smooth it before it skinned over. This DAP Advanced Modified Polymer Waterproof Kitchen, Bath, and Plumbing Sealant provides a lifetime guarantee, a 100% waterproof seal, and it prevents mold and mildew. So it's the ideal choice to use in a shower like this. I sealed along all the inside corners, around the shelf and the bench, and where the towel met the pan. After everything was dry, I sealed the tiles and the grout, and the shower was ready for use. I feel like it took a solid month to get this shower done, and I skipped over a lot of details throughout this process, but this was a very big project and a lot of research went into it. There were also a lot of other things going on at the same time that I was working on the shower. You can see that I added some trim, some baseboards, and I made my own threshold to transition between the vinyl and the tile because it was kind of a weird size. And during all of that time, we also installed the vanity. I built this vanity several weeks ago, but we had to do a few things before installing it. Like removing the old vanity, removing the mirror, which by the way was a pain to take out. This is why you make your vanities higher enough off the ground that you can vacuum underneath. Yuck. We also moved the outlets, replaced the drywall, added more light boxes, and finally moved the vanity in its place. I secured it to the wall studs so it would stay put, and then finally we could install the top. I had a local granite shop cut my top from a scrap piece that they had in their yard to fit my vanity. They offered to install it, but I didn't want to bother them with it, so we just installed the top ourselves. I used DAP Dynagrip Mirror Marble and Granite Construction Adhesive to install the top and the sinks. I applied a bead around the top of the vanity and we placed the granite on top. I like that this adhesive didn't immediately dry, so I was able to position the top how I needed it before walking away and letting it set. The granite shop owner suggested setting the top before setting the sinks, so after the top was set, we used DAP Dynagrip Mirror Marble and Granite Construction Adhesive again to install the sinks. I applied a bead around the top of the sink and we used a pipe clamp through the sink hole and some scrap wood to clamp the sinks in place while the adhesive set up. I let these dry overnight and removed the clamps the next day, and at that point I could add the backsplash, the lights, the outlets, and the faucets, and this would feel like a bathroom again. I used ceramic hexagon tiles for the backsplash, and I used DAP Quick Seal Plus Kitchen and Bath Adhesive Sealant to caulk between the countertop and the tiles and between the tiles and the drywall. This bathroom is slowly starting to come together, and I cannot wait to share the next project with you and the final reveal very soon. I hope you enjoyed watching the shower and the vanity install, and next time we'll be back in the workshop building something exciting to wrap up this remodel. I hope you're as excited as I am to get back into the shop. Tiling is just not my favorite pastime. So thanks for bearing with me through that process. I know this video is a little bit different than my typical woodworking projects, but I really appreciate you guys watching and following along on this remodel, and I'll be back very soon to share more with you. Thanks so much for watching, friends, and until next time, happy building!